This past week, Pastor Mike Roth gathered with a group of veterans to honor Independence Day and offer a time of reflection. As part of our worship service, we hope to offer you a time for reflection and to honor our servicemen as well. Thank you for joining us.
Hello everyone, and on this July 4th weekend, decided to have a little bit different kind of worship experience. And so today I'm standing in front of the Vietnam Memorial Wall located in Perryville, Missouri. The wall that we're standing in front of is half the size of the one in Washington, D.C., but as you can see, is quite impressive. It's an exact replica and bears the names of more than 59,000 who died in Vietnam. It was completed in the fall of 2018 and was dedicated by the governor of Missouri last year in May of 2019. Jim Edelman donated the 50 acres that this wall sits on. It was a cornfield before it was this wall, and the land had been in his family for more than 3 generations. To make the memorial possible, he shared this land with not only the people of the state of Missouri, but the people of the United States of America. Mr. Edelman was in the Tet Offensive in Vietnam in 1968, and during that conflict he carried several severely wounded into the medevac helicopter. So I'm joined today by 3 of our veterans from St. Paul's who also served during the Vietnam era. So we're joined by Stephen Keel. Stephen served in the Air Force from 1962 to 1968. He was a personnel specialist and served most of his time in Okinawa. Beside him is Bob Wright. He served on the USS Coral Sea aircraft carrier from 1971 to 1973, was a part of the U.S. Navy, and he was an aviation bosun mate. And finally, David Batha served from June 1967 to 68, and he was a part of the 1st 22nd of the 4th Infantry, serving in the Central Highlands, Pleiku, and Kontum regions. And so it is so wonderful to have you all come down here and be a part of this experience as we worship our freedom here over this July 4th weekend. So I got a couple questions. Many in the generations that followed you all have really no notion of the draft. When we got out of high school and we're entering into college and we're thinking about next steps, getting drafted was not one of them. But that was not true for your era. And so, David, I'm going to ask you, because I know that you were drafted, tell me what that experience, tell us what that experience was like, getting that draft notice in the mail, and all of a sudden you knew that life was going to be different.
It really was not a good experience personally. To give you an idea, there were some young men at that time actually left the country, went up to Canada, went over to Europe to avoid the draft. What I'm going to say probably isn't going to go over well. There's probably a lot of boys in Jefferson Barracks today that would have been better off had they done that. But it was not a good experience. It was a lot of fear and everything else. Anything you could do to stay out of the fray, I guess, at that time. Mm-hmm. But those are my thoughts, like I say.
Now, Steve, you have a draft story. Can you share that with us?
Well, a friend of mine asked me to take him downtown to the federal offices because he was going to join the Air Force. And I had been out of school for a little bit for the semester and everything. I drove him down. As we were down there, the sergeant said, "Why don't you take the test and see how you'll do and everything?" So I did, and I qualified for the Air Force, and he said, "Well, you can go here and there and everything." I said, "Fine." So I signed up for the Air Force. I got home that night, and in the mail was my draft notice. And I called him and said, I got this draft notice and everything else like that, and his answer was, "Tear it up, your rear end is mine. I own you.
Okay.
So that's how I ended up in the Air Force.
Now, Bob, you served on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
You know, got within 3 miles of Vietnam, and you played a big support role. You know, we have a lot of holidays that we list as patriotic holidays. You know, in November we have Veterans Day. We celebrated Memorial Day about a month ago, but this weekend we celebrate freedom and the 4th of July. You know, as a veteran, what does 4th of July mean to you?
It means a lot to me. It means my freedom, my family's freedom, all the people that died for us. It's just an honor to have it and be here.
Now, Steve, I'm going to ask you another question. You know, really, holidays like the 4th of July are really meant to bring us together as a nation. You know, and you know, recently, there's been a lot of disunity. And I know, you know, a lot of what veterans have shared with me is the unity that they feel with their brothers in arms. You know, it doesn't matter whether you are, you know, of Spanish descent or Mexican descent or African American descent. You know, there's a sense of unity because everybody's watching each other's back or whatever. So, as a person of faith, what would you want to share about unity on a 4th of July holiday as a veteran?
Well, Mike, thinking about it, I'm thinking of the 2 experiences that I've had now. This one and the one when I went to Arlington, in Arlington National Cemetery, and realized the number of people that died for your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, you and me. And it's all part of being the nation, the country, and fellowship and brotherhood. God put us on this earth to do a job, to do something to honor Him, and a lot of these gentlemen, women, and men whose names are on this wall and who are buried in all the national cemeteries did their job in supporting and protecting our country and our freedom and our right to voice our opinions and to have our faith and freedom.
We're going to take a pause and move locations because we have someone with us today who lost a brother, and we've located his name on the wall, and we're going to have a little honor ceremony for him. We're standing here at the wall, panel W17, and I have with me Kathy Muehlhausler. She's our new office manager, and Kathy's brother was killed in Vietnam. We found his name right here at W17, right here on the wall. And Kathy's going to share with us a bit about her brother's story.
Michael was my brother who served in the Vietnam War from January 20th, 1969 through October 20th, 1969 at the age of 22. Michael was a graduate of Melville High School and received an academic and football scholarship to Southeast Missouri State University in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. He was drafted while attending SEMO by the U.S. Army, sent to Fort Leonard Wood for basic training, and deployed to Vietnam. He served in combat and finally traveled to return to the States and pursue his college education when there was a ground casualty in Pleiku, South Vietnam, and Michael lost his life. Michael was survived by his 2 parents, Marion and Ray Sample, brother and sister Daniel and Kathleen Sample, and all his grandparents. He received multiple medals and badges of honor, including a Purple Heart, and is buried in the St. John's United Church of Christ Cemetery.
On this July 4th weekend, I want you to know that God never asks anything of us that God isn't willing to do God's self. You know, and that is the power of Christ in our life. Because Christ laid down his life for us. He calls everyone, regardless of your background, what you've done in your past, calls each and every one of us friend, and was willing to lay down his life for you. And so I want you to just grab onto that eternal truth that John 15:13 shares with us, that there is no greater gift than this, than to lay down one life for a friend. Jesus Christ is your friend. Amen. Hello, friends. While we recognize that not all are yet ready to come inside the church for worship, we also recognize that this new reality is going to be with us for quite some time, and so at some point, we're going to just have to adapt. That said, on Sunday, July the 12th, we're going to have a soft opening to church services, resuming in our sanctuary at St. Paul's on Sunday mornings. We're going to start off by offering just one service at 10 a.m. just to get our feet wet. We sincerely ask that you let us know if you're planning to attend. This is so we can adequately prepare for your arrival. Having 200 show up when only 50 let us know that they were coming would mean that we would have to cancel that morning service because we just wouldn't be prepared. We will be sending out a list of all of the safe worship procedures that we will be instituting. Some of you will receive that list electronically, while others will get it through the mail. When you receive it, and if you plan to attend in person, please take a moment to look it over so that you can be prepared for the changes that we are going to institute when you arrive. If you do not feel ready yet to come back in person, know that we will be taping a live service each week and posting it on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page for you to view. Much has changed in the last few months, and we will have to adapt to keep everyone safe as we come back into the building and worship together in person. But know this, that the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. God's mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning, for great is God's faithfulness.